Hello, all my weirdos and weirdettes. Thank you, everybody, for coming today. Really appreciate it. I am the mayor, and I'm here with my fill-in co-host, Mikey the Legend.
I thought I was a special guest until I found out Oki wasn't coming. Like I was promised Oki, and she's not here. But it's
Yeah.
fine. I'll do my best while I'm here.
uh, Hi, everybody in the chat. Hey, hi, kinda. Good to see you there. Oops, you know what I do? Where is that? Bink. There we go.
Oh, very fancy.
That way, maybe you can see the comments too.
Yes, I can see them right
All
here.
right. All right. This is kind of fun and not so fun at the same time.
Yeah,
Um, the whole idea behind this is last what was it, Monday we had that video on We Got a Chase of the guy who was getting beat up by his girlfriend with the hammer and all that.
yeah.
And and it sounds like stuff like that's been going on for quite a while with them.
Oh, yeah. It
Uh,
seems like a pattern.
Yeah, and I myself was an abused husband by my first wife. I wasn't physically abused. I was abused mentally, emotionally, financially. Um, Even without the violence, it still leaves scars.
Yeah.
Um, and still to this day, I have trauma from it. Um,
You said this was
it-
your first wife.
my first wife, yes.
Okay. Uh, how long did you know her before you married her?
Uh, 3 years before I married her.
And there was
Um,
never no evidence of this kind of activity.
Not until we got together. Not until we got married.
That's
I
that's kind of that's kind of interesting because that was the same situation with my stepfather. He was the big lovable clown. My mom had known him since she was a little girl. He was a child too, and even at one point he had got her name tattooed on his arm, and they weren't even dating or anything.
Oh wow.
When they were younger, and then got it covered up with a giant rose eventually. But leading up into the time that my mom and him got married, I mean, when I say married, I mean on the way home from signing the paperwork in South Carolina so they could skip the blood test. He beat her up all the way home, and just flipped, just like on a dime. Everything changed that day. They got married is when everything changed.
That is a pattern that I've heard many a time. In fact, from mainly women, of course, who've gone through a domestic violence um, life with a significant other. That they treat them all good until they get to a point where the abuser more or less takes a possession,
Hmm.
and they become uh, they become their whatever. Uh, my first wife, she was a good woman. She actually was a good woman. She kept the house immaculate. She was a fantastic cook, feeding everybody, doing charity work. But to me, I wasn't allowed to have friends outside of our immediate family. I couldn't go anywhere without her. I had to check in at lunchtime at work or when I'm about to leave work and come home. Um, uh, she was extremely controlling. So I wasn't even allowed to touch my own money that I made at my job, literally. Um, she got mad at me one time because I had stopped to get a uh, snack on the way home from work. And she goes, "Where'd you get that?" I said, "I stopped and got a snack." She said, "Where'd you get the money?" "Out of my bank account." "Did you ask if you take money out of the bank account?" And just like, another time, a friend, I was without a motorcycle and he had one that he was going to sell. And he said, "Hey, I'll make you a deal. I'll sell you this bike for $20 if you help me move." And I said,
Damn.
"You're on." And I helped him move, and I got the bike, and I brought the bike home, and she flipped out. She goes, "Where'd you get that?" I said, "I bought it." "How much you pay for it?" I paid $20 for it. "Why didn't you ask me if you could buy a motorcycle?" I bought a motorcycle, but why? It's $20. What is the difference about that? Any big purchases, we got to talk about these things. It's not a big purchase. We go to Walmart and you come out of there every week with $100 worth of clothes. Yet I have to beg to buy socks.
Yeah.
I went and bought a motorcycle, and it was that our entire relationship. And you know the old story, well, why don't you just leave him, or why don't you just leave her? And it's because I love them. Well, that's really true. I loved her, but I also had the fear of trying to get away from her. I was scared to leave her.
What
Not
part were
only
you scared of? Because I mean, you said she wasn't physically abusive. So what were you thinking was going to happen?
I worried about her being able to afford to live. She had her own income, and most of the time she made more money than I did. I was afraid of her not being able to afford a place to live. I was afraid of me not being able to afford a place to live.
So it
I
was
felt
almost
that
like a convenience for both of you.
exactly, and that our it was. I really wanted to. Well, the last few years of our marriage was very rocky. We were on the verge of divorce, the whole 9 yards, when she got the cancer diagnosis, the untreatable and all that, which is what got me out of the entire thing.
How long had y'all been married up to?
What's that?
I said, how long had y'all been married up to that point,
16 years,
including the dating?
20 years, just about 20 years total, between dating and marriage. Um, she controlled everything. She controlled the remote for the TV and what we watch. She always goes, "There's a TV in the bedroom if you want to go and watch something else there." But I only did that once because then she goes, "Oh, you don't want to be out here in the living room with me." I
Mhm.
wanted to watch a different show.
Did you ever argue like with her, like give it back?
To a point, and then I get scared. I would literally shut down.
That she ever said, I'm going to leave. I'm going to pack my stuff and go. Then
Did
you'll be
I?
stuck. Did she ever
Did
say
I?
that to you?
I don't think I remember her ever saying anything like that. But I thought it every day.
All right.
After a while, I thought about it every day.
Did you
I thought,
dread coming home or dread the phone ringing or
yeah. I dreaded coming home, and I dreaded that I had nowhere else to go. I didn't have any friends. I literally wasn't allowed to have any friends. I
fun?
think part of the reasons why she dragged me to New Hampshire from Wisconsin is to get away from, so that I got away from my friends. So I didn't have that influence around me.
Yeah. I mean, that's a big part of it. It's control and stuff. My stepfather did something similar. His thing was when before he married my mom was had her own job, her own money, her own place, you know, just me, my mom, and my two older sisters. Once they got married, my mom wasn't allowed to see my other sisters were old enough where they're like, we're not going there. They knew, what kind of person he was. So they're like, we're not going there. We're staying away from. And he made it to the point where we couldn't see anybody. None of our family, no friends, no nothing. It was just me and my mom. That's it. That was the isolation. My brother hadn't been born yet. My brother wasn't born for several years into the marriage. So once he cut all that off, made my mom quit her job, made my mom sell her house, made my mom, just be really at his beck and call. Then that's when things just, I don't know if my mom gave up, because you talk about leaving, we left and came back at least. I really lost count, to be honest with you. Probably upwards of 10 times across 13 years. We would leave. Sometimes we would leave with some of our stuff. Sometimes we nothing. Left with nothing. We came back to nothing because we take all of our stuff and burn it while we were gone. I've seen times we would sneak out window. We'd have to wait for him to pass out drunk because he did have a drinking problem. He was a drunk, but the alcohol to me just made him more at ease to be who he really was. Because eventually he did quit drinking, but he was still incredibly mental and emotionally abusive to us both. Now, for many years, he also was physically abusive to me and my mother. My mother took a lot. When it got to the point that we would leave, we would sneak out. And so there was a time we snuck out and it was raining and we had to sleep in the woods because we knew he was driving around the area. So we just basically burrowed into the ground and hid until daylight so we could see where we were going. We didn't know where we were exactly. Sneaking out the windows, sneaking out the house. He controlled everything from the money to turning the heat on to, he would come in and wake me up like really early in the morning and be like, you got a day's worth of work. Get up. You got to go. You got work to do. And I would work from sun up to sundown. I was a little boy, cutting grass, weed eating, digging trenches, cutting up fields and pulling roots from the field so we could plant in the field. And I'm talking acres, not like just a tiny plot of land. So his thing was to drive me into the ground, beat me down as hard as he could. He would punch me and stuff if I didn't answer fast enough. He called me names. He put me down all the time. I didn't know it at the time, but my mom had me from an affair while she was married to her first husband who passed away. And he would constantly call me by that man's name. And I didn't know why he was calling me. That wasn't my name. But he would call me that Jones boy, say. He'd call me that. And I'd be, I didn't understand. And I could hear them fighting at night. And he would bring up everything my mother had ever did in her entire life before they got together and just accuse. And some nights he'd beat her up in front of me. And some nights he'd beat her up, in a room when I was, in bed with my head under the covers, hoping he didn't come in there and get me.
And you still heard everything going on?
Oh, everything. I've been held at gunpoint, threatened to be killed. I've had the police bust into our house and try and get us out of the house. But at that point in time, it was like all it took. This was the late 70s into the 80s. And we lived in a small town that knew everybody. Even the time that the cops had to come into the house, all he did was pull my mom not my mom. He had me and my mom at gunpoint. And I went to yell and he pulled the gun back. It was a double barrel 12-gauge shotgun. And then he hit my mom in the stomach, left the ring of the barrel, knocked a hole in the ceiling with a fully loaded cop hammer back. I don't know how it didn't go. It was only a miracle that kept it from going off. The cops come in the house. He's like, y'all say anything, I'm gonna kill y'all and this cop. And he come in the house and he just kind of like turned on the charm. He was somebody who was, if it wasn't somebody like me and my mom, he was charming. He come off very charismatic, funny. He could make a joke on like that. And I would see him turn that on and turn it off. And as I grew up, I was like, I think I can do that. I think I can read this room. So I know if I need to be afraid for my life, if I need to be, so I would analyze people when I would meet them and try and come up with like, is this somebody I can trust or somebody I can't trust? And unfortunately with the thing with the cop, He just told the cop, "Hey, I caught my old lady sitting around on me. We're having a fight." Now, remember, 5 minutes ago, the neighbors had just watched him drag my mom 100 yards from the people across the street back to our house by the hair like a caveman as we're both screaming bloody murder. And the cop says, "Okay, man, just, y'all get it together."
Yeah.
And I was like, really?
Ju-
And in my mind as a child, I always felt like my mom was protecting me. And as I got older and become a father myself, who, by the way, never once laid a hand on his wife, never talked mean to her, and never did those things that I saw as a kid. I know a lot of people are like, well, I grew up in that, so that's why I'm like the way I am. I had a rough life, Your Honor.
Yeah.
It was
But
rough. It was
you
really rough.
you did everything you could to break that cycle.
Yeah, I did because I wanted to. I knew I did not want to be that person. Um, how old was I? It started when I was 7 years old and lasted till I was 17 years. Um, the reason I left, it, I couldn't do well in school. I wasn't allowed to have any friends. I wasn't allowed to go places, do things. Wanted to play sports, wasn't allowed to play sports. Wasn't allowed to drive. Wasn't allowed to do anything but come home and do as I was told, no matter what that was. And it usually was a lot of hard manual labor. Talk to like just called every name that you're nothing. You'll never accomplish nothing. You're a pussy. You're this, that, and the other. And I was so full of rage. I was so full of anger. By the time I'd gotten to 17, and I knew that night that I was there, I couldn't take any more. I just couldn't. So I had decided that night. I said, "All right, this life isn't worth living. This is not. I cannot live this way. I can't live with the things I've seen. I can't live with the things that have happened." So I said, "Well, either I'm going to kill myself tonight, or I'm going to go and I'm going to kill him." And I sat and I thought about it. Went out into the living room. Went into the kitchen. I'd sat down with a knife beside me, pretended I was eating a piece of chicken, got yelled at for that. So I knew he was going to yell at me. He yelled at me because I was eating something. And he had stood up and came towards me. And about the same time, my mom jumped up and they started, she started yelling at him. And by then, my brother had already been born. I had a little brother. He got it bad later on, but during the time we lived with my stepdad, I tried to take, all of it. I wanted to protect him. And that stopped me from stabbing him. Because I didn't care. Either he was going to take me out or I was going to take him.
It came into your head going, hold it. If I take him out or if I end up getting taken out, who's going to be there to protect my mom and my brother?
Yeah. And so I went back to my room. All the times my mom had left and come back and wouldn't back. And I was like, she's never going to leave. Ever. Nothing's ever going to get her to leave. If she didn't leave through all the shit we went through, the only thing I could think of get my mom to leave was for me to leave. I had nowhere to go. I grabbed a garbage bag, threw enough clothes in it so I could get to school next couple of days. I walked into the living room, stepped back and said, "What are you doing, boy? Where are you going?" It's like, "I'm leaving." Started laughing. He said, "You ain't going nowhere." I walk out on the front porch. He walks behind me and starts saying shit, talking. I got to the front yard. My mom comes out. She's like, "What are you doing? Where are you going?" I'm like, "I'm leaving." I said, "Mom, the best thing for you, leave too." And he's sitting there. He's still laughing. You ain't going nowhere. And I looked at him. I said, "I want you to know, I am just tired of your shit. I'd never cussed a day of my life in front of my stepfather or my mother. And I looked at him, I said, I'm just tired of your shit. I took my bag of clothes and I walked on. I didn't know where I was going. I had no idea. Nowhere to live, no phone, no nothing like that. Wasn't no cell phones. Luckily, I had a buddy that lived a ways up into a trailer park. I walked up there and he let me sleep on his floor for a couple of days until I could convince my grandma to let me move in with her. The reason it was so hard to do that was because my grandma, some of the times when we would leave my stepdad, we would go to my grandma's and he would come there and kick her doors in. All front door, we go out the back door, he'd come bust out the back door. Like he would just destroy everything and anything everybody had. He would drive through her chain link fence, whatever it was. And he's the same guy in his first marriage, took his then wife hostage. He was an abuser to her, took her hostage, even took a cop hostage, a deputy that had come there, took him hostage as well. Finally, he let them all go and he come out. Never did 1 day jail. When I got older, we looked to see if there was any kind of records of anything. Never. Not one record for any calls that were made to our house. No, nothing. Zero. Worst thing ever happened to him, he got drunk driving one time, but he got that back. But me leaving and having so much uncertainty was enough to get my mom to leave. My mom did leave, left my stepdad. He still terrorized us. Told us he was going to come to our house and shoot up the house. He was gonna beat me up and all this other stuff. He used to call me because I was the oldest one in the house then. I was like 19 years old. He'd tell my brother, he's like, "What's the king doing?" He called me the king. "What's the king doing up in the house? I bet he's da, 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 da." And so every time my brother had to see him for visitation, it was nonstop just berating me and my mom and just driving us in the ground. Me and my brother are extremely tight, extremely loving to each other. And, it was torture to him. He lived that way, at that point, where he was just having to deal with all that. And, I lived in a women's shelter a couple of times when we left, which, when my mom passed, I got people to donate money to our local women's shelter because it was a place for us to go. It was a place for me to feel safe and sad when I left and happy when I would go back. I was so happy they had cable. I could stay up and watch music videos at night. And I was like, man, this is so great. Like, I don't have to worry about nobody coming in my room and, attacking me while I'm sleeping or yanking me out of the bed, just beating you down every day. So once it got to that part, and I got my mom to leave, I felt a lot better. And I did start to, like I said, as an adult, worry about why didn't my mom, I knew my mom wanted to help me and protecting me. But I thought to myself, if she's protecting me so much, why did we keep going back? Why did we keep going back? We even got to the point one time where we were getting assistance and had a very rundown old trailer, but it was ours. Yep. And we didn't have to worry about him. And she still went back. Like I woke up one morning there, Mayor, and I heard, which I have nightmares about him basically every single night. And I have for my entire life that I can remember. And I could hear his voice and I thought I was dreaming. He was in our house. My mom had told him to come over. He was in our house. And he was in there with a shit-eating grin, making all these promises. Everything's going to be different this time. I've learned my lesson. This is, don't you worry. And everything would be hunky-dory for like a week. And then everything would go right back the way it was.
Yeah, the typical abuser's lie.
Yeah. So it was tough for me to try and figure out as an adult why my mom kept going back and why didn't we stay gone the first time, or why the first time he put his hands on her, and put his hands on me, would beat me for not knowing my spelling words, and would beat me because I didn't know my times table. And it was really weird because I could never keep my children in something like that. So in the later parts of my life and my mom's life, we were kind of estranged because I couldn't figure out why she would do that. And as time went on, and they'd been divorced for a very long time, when he got sick and was in the hospital, my mom went and seen him. Did you go and see him? Went to his funeral and everything. Me and my brother wanted nothing to do. Just hated him. I mean, with every fiber of our being, we hate that man and celebrated the day he died because he was so awful. So awful that there would never be anything that he could say or do that could undo the things he did. But to her, she would just go like nothing had ever happened. And it really confused me and my brother. My sisters that hadn't lived through any of that had been having nice, fine relationships with him in the later years, even letting him come to their house for Thanksgiving and things like that, because that's what the Lord would want us to do, is forgive. Right. And I told them, I said, there is no way in hell I will ever forgive that man. There's no way I will ever forget that you were so hunky-dory with him, not remembering all the evil thing. You had nothing happen to you. Me and him went through hell every single day. Every day. It was a nonstop abuse for over 10 years. Just nonstop every single day. Getting just feeling like you were absolute shit and could never be anything.
My father used to make me feel that way. My dad, he is a wonderful man. He's now going through dementia. He pushed me hard. I went into the Air Force because he told me that I wasn't tough enough to be a Marine like he was. He said I wasn't smart enough to go to college. I tried it. I failed. I went back to college in 2000, got my master's degree. I did that only as a fuck you to him. Love that man to death. He pushed me hard. I worked hard. Grew up on a dairy farm in Wisconsin. I had no choice. But he also instilled in me, you never touch a woman. You always do your best. The world owes you nothing. If you want something, you go out there and work for it. If you want respect, you have to give respect, and you have to be respectful. Love everybody that you meet until they give you a reason not to love them. Well, in chat, when I say to everybody there, I love them, that's the absolute truth. The family that I have developed on YouTube, especially on Credence and Mikey and that, has been one of the biggest healing things in my life. I never really realized how much I was abused by my first wife until I got together with Sassy, because she was polar opposites of Linda. She was a crappy housekeeper. She was an okay cook. There's some things she did were awesome, but some were not. I'd be sitting around the house and she'd go, "Why don't you get the hell out of here? Go do something. Go have fun." It's like, well, I want to go do or buy something, but it's going to cost that. Well, you got the money. Go get it. Go buy something. Oh boy, but after I lost my bike that I bought the day before she came up from Texas, I had lost it at COVID time, out of work, had some health issues, and I ended up having it repossessed. And she said literally every day, says, we're going to get this all straightened out. You're going to get another bike again. So you have your bike and we can go riding. She pushed me to get a bike again. I was almost thinking, yeah, I'm almost 60. Yeah, maybe it's time to give up. No, I'm not giving up. But in the 10 years no, almost 10 years, 9 years that Kelly and I were together, aka Sassy, um, I saw the effects still of what I went through with my first wife. I'd rather not say her name here, um, because um, being so different, but I felt myself still being that timid little mouse and needing permission to do something, and that carried for a long, long time. Um, I'm getting over it. I still have that. I still, you know, as much as the first wife put me through, I still love her for many reasons. But there's also parts of me that can't stand her because of what she did to me. Her, she took care of everybody, the entire family so well. Uh, her two daughters, the grandkids. She was a wonderful person there. The charity work she did, but how she treated me, and nobody knew it. I was afraid to say something. Um, I tried to say something to my pastor. I told him several times, stuff that was going on, and he brought us both into his office, and you could see a light switch flip on, and she's just like, what, explain, and I clammed right up. I couldn't say a word. I couldn't say what was going on or anything. I completely shut down. Couple years after she passed away and all that, Pastor Fred said that time that we were in the office, I saw it. I could see you were going through something. He's also got a PhD in psychology, and he's a clinical psychologist. And so he saw that. He just never said anything because he's waiting for me to say something and reach out there. The stats on domestic violence is just staggering in the first place. The stats on men that go through domestic violence or spousal abuse, they say 80% up to 97% of the men that go through it never say a word. They'll never tell anybody. They'll never let it get out because of the stigma of being felt that they are not a man. They're not strong. They're wusses or a pussy, whatever. They never tell anybody. They're not. They're because we're supposed to be big, bad, strong guys. Um, we're not supposed to show our emotions or be hurt. And a woman can't beat up a guy and all that. But it's as much as 97% of the men that go through it never tell anybody. And I think that could be a leading issue with one divorce,
Yeah.
infidelity, uh, suicide, everything, because they don't have that outlet to say anything, or they're just afraid to speak out. As everybody says, I got on a scroll there for the National Domestic Abuse Hotline. If you know anybody that is going through any kind of abuse, if it's you yourself, a family member, a friend, male or female, get them that number. Give them a call. It's all confidential, but at least they can talk to somebody and find out what options are that could help get them out of this. Um, it, it's a lot more prevalent than you can even imagine how much abuse
Way more.
it and like me, like I said, it was not a physical violence, but it was emotionally, mentally, and financially.
I would tell
And
my mom, I was like, look, there were times I'd rather get punched in the face than be yelled at for 10 minutes because any kind of injury I get, it'll heal up and it'll go away. Every word that was said to me will never go away, and I can never get it out of my head and will never heal.
there's so many days with my first wife that I played still to this day that will play back in my head of what happened that day or what was said that day. You know, the the internal scars are just as prevalent as an external scar. Sometimes they can be more damaging.
Yeah.
Um, I'm really amazed that I kept my sobriety all these years. I got sober 2 or 3 years before I met the first wife. I was sober all the way through, but
Wow.
there is times where I really wanted to start drinking again. It was pushing me to that point, and luckily, I never did. And you know, that whole thing on that Monday on We Got Chased just kind of really, that's all I've thought about since then. And going, yeah, this is something I need to do. I need to put stuff out there, and I'm actually going to put a link in the chat that if anybody wants to uh, come on and say anything, you don't have to turn on your camera. You can be just a voice. It doesn't matter. You know, if you're on your computer or your phone, you can click on that link and come into here, and I'm going to post that right now. You know, it's like that on Frasier. Dr. Crane says, you know, he always says, you know, I'm here to listen. So,
Sometimes that's all you really need. Somebody
you
to
know,
let you talk, let you get it out. And, it's never easy to talk about.
no, it's not.
It's really
I
is.
do. I'm a director of a homeless outreach out here, and we do a lot of outreach work. Oh, and here, we do a lot of homeless outreach, and a lot of the homeless people. You know, we ask, is there anything you need? Do you need food? Do you need this? Do you need that? And so many times, all they need is all they want is an ear to listen to them.
Yes.
It's what's important. You know, being there to listen to the other person. Let, lend a shoulder. One of my bosses at work was having a real bad day. She's just an absolute sweetheart. I mean, she was very upset. It was the day I got back from the hospital from my heart attack. I sat with her for probably 45 minutes, just listened to her and let her cry on my shoulder because she needed that. Hi, Carla.
Hi, Mayor. Hi, Mikey.
Oh,
I just wanted to step in from the woman's side. I was abused after my father passed away. My parents were really abusive to each other. My mom was also verbally abusive to my stepdad. She was also physically abusive to both of them. Um, I also went through many, many, many marriages and relationships of physical, mental, and emotional abuse. My husband I'm with now is the total opposite, and he's what
that's
I
good.
needed at this point in my life. I also wanted to let your audience know I am an ordained minister. So if
Me too.
anyone wants to talk to me by direct message in Discord just to get something off your chest, by law, it will not go any further, and by my own morality. And if you want someone with you virtually when you call the abusive hotline, just let me know. I'll be there.
Yeah.
Yep.
There can be the other side. Mikey is an excellent example of that, and so is Mayor.
And you can make a change. It helps to have somebody to talk to. It helps
Yes.
to have somebody that can somewhat understand what you've been through. Each situation is extremely different from the other,
Uh-huh.
but everything is got the same. It runs along the same lines of understanding it. That helps a lot to have somebody that would understand and help you figure out how you want to cope. Me and my brother, our way of coping with it when we were still in that situation and after was we would try and make each other laugh. If we could get each other to laugh, that was all we needed. We could get alone, make each other laugh, and just even to this day, that's what we do when we're together. We do our best to make the other one laugh. And as long as we
Yeah.
can do that, it heals us so much to be able to laugh and to make the other one laugh. So there is things out there that you can do that'll help you.
It's the old story. Laughter is the
I
best
started
medicine.
putting a I was to say I started putting a chuckle for today in the posts on my YouTube channel, and with the thought that everybody can use a laugh in their life, and maybe someone can really use it. I
Yeah,
feel I also have a website that I do this on, and I feel that as a semi-public figure, that I have a duty to let people know that some of the things I went through, that they might be going through, that they're not alone, that they're not the only one going through it, because so many, as I think, I honestly think men more than women think they're the only one that it's happening to when it's with a relationship or a marriage.
yeah. The
So if
amount of
you,
men out there that's gone through it is really amazing. Mike,
oh, it
and
is.
it it's such an underreported stat because the stigma of nobody believing them that a
Right.
woman was abusing them. You know, hey, if you cut me, I bleed just like anybody else. One thing I've noticed from reading stories and listening to people, everybody thinks their story is different. Everybody's story is almost exactly the same. It really is. Everybody went through this is going through the
The,
same pains.
the difference comes in with each person's personality,
Mhm.
but the overall things that we suffer through when we're allowing ourselves to be the abused is it's hard to come to terms with.
Right.
And I would recommend a book. It's called The Four Agreements by Don somebody. But The
I
Four
have that
Agreements.
book. I have
It
that book, in fact, in my book cabinet, in my
it
bookshelf.
is an excellent book to help you take a look at yourself and go, oh, there is a way that I could possibly get out of this and not keep calling myself a victim. That book was what helped me get out of a 19-year abusive relationship.
You
And
might have
this
been a
was only
victim
five
then,
years
but
ago.
now you're not a victim. You are a victor.
Right,
You went to a different B word.
right. And every time you give rental space in your head to what happened in the past, you put yourself back in that mindset again, the victim mindset. And it can be really hard to come out of that mindset. Very, very hard.
You literally have to break that shell around you, and to get out of it, to to
Yes.
ex- to expand out there and seeing that there is help out there for you. There is, you know, something that can be done to remedy the situation. Uh, but some people go through the entire life with blinders on, going, the
Yeah.
only thing I can see is that I can't see to the left or right away from it.
Oh, what helped me get out of my last relationship was being on Social Security. I couldn't afford the rent, a rent by myself. I was not in a financial position. I could not see myself in a financial position to get out of it. Thankfully, one of my cousins said, "Hey, you can come live here in the trailer I got on my property for nothing for a couple of months and get your act together." There are more resources now than there even was 5 years ago.
Oh yeah, we have here in Manchester. We have families in transition, which is just an absolutely amazing organization. They have several large buildings that they have remodeled into small little apartments for people, for men and women who are trying to get away from an abusive relationship and stuff like that, where they can be put up and they can get the help that they need. It's just an amazing organization. I see
That's a,
John Lynn just popped in.
I just saw something with Past Nola in the chat. I'm not sure if it's a he or she. I'm sorry.
it's a she.
It says,
She.
okay, thank you, Mike. I just lost it. I'm 100% stuck right now, and I feel it every day. It's horrible. It is horrible when you feel that
You won't have, yeah, you
nobody
don't
has
have
your
any,
back.
you don't feel like there's a way out or a light at the end of the tunnel. There is.
Yeah.
You just can't see it yet. Just got to take each day as you can
Whoops.
and not give up. Like John, every time I see John, I feel like I want to give up. No, hey,
That makes two of us.
hey, John.
How you doing, Mikey?
Good, buddy. Good.
Hey,
Hey,
number
thank-
one, I want to thank you for sharing your story.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
I really do. I appreciate that. And I appreciate you for everything that you do for this rather broad community that has been built and for all the help that you give to smaller people like me and Carla and KCC and all that. Yeah, we all appreciate you. But yeah, I was kind of born into an abusive relationship. Both of my parents were abusive to both one another and to drugs as well. And I've said that my father died when I was a baby, which is true. But hearing your story makes me wonder how bad it could have been had he lived. And I'd grown up in that abusive household because my mother, I know from what both my siblings and my grandmother have told me, she would put vodka in my baby bottle to keep me settled down.
And he still does that.
Yeah, and it's still
No, alcohol, yeah, but I stay away from vodka. Me and vodka don't get along very well. I'm just a beer man these days. But yeah,
I'm going to get you a bottle of that hot damn yet.
That I'll take. But yeah, even my grandmother was like generationally abusive, but it was more psychological, and I didn't realize it until much later in life. But of course, it was past the threshold of being able to get out because I was the one taking care of her in her old age. And my sense of honor meant that I had to take care of her in her feeble times when she took care of me in my feeble times. She didn't just like hand me off to an orphanage. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you get a feeling of like, okay, I'm obligated in a way. I owe this, and how could I go on thinking I owed this and didn't do what I was supposed to? When wow, and in your mind, it's almost kind of a sick thing. You're like, well, it could have just gave me up to an orphanage, and then in your mind, you're like, yeah, she did me so many favors, and I get that where you want to try and make that person approve of you in a way, like, oh, they're going to approve of me, they're going to be nice to me. I get validation. And
right. I'm making a very complicated story simple just for brevity. But yeah, I took care of her until the day she passed away. And I feel good about that. I mean, everything that I experienced in my life prepared me for everything that I've gone through in my life. So, and that's like Carla said, people can always reach out to me because I've been through shit. And, if you're on a ledge, I'll talk you down from it. I've done that at places like MagFest, which is a music and gaming festival, where they see that I'm the weird old guy, but not weird in a creepy kind of way, but weird in a we relate to you kind of way.
Right.
And I've been able to talk with younger people and let them know that, hey, you're not the first one going through this. I went through it too. If you ever need to talk to somebody, you can come to me. It's not, it's no skin off of my dentures. and,
Excuse
Yes.
me a minute, gentlemen. Mayor, thank you for letting me on. Thank you,
I'm glad you
Mikey
came
and
on,
Mayor,
Carla.
for
Absolutely.
sharing your stories. And once again, if anyone wants to talk, I'm available on Discord. My name on there is Carla Beltane, the same as here. I gotta go. I gotta get ready for my stream that starts in like 8 minutes.
Oh boy.
All right,
yeah.
Carla.
And Carla, I'll see you there.
Okay. Good night.
Good night, Carla.
Have a good one, all.
Bye, Carla. Thank you.
Yeah, now I have to remember how to get out of this.
Throw her out, Mayor. Just toss her to the street.
Okay, she's gone.
Unplug
There
it.
you go. Here we go. One last thing I want to say before I pull a Carla. My sisters who never went through the stuff that I went through and never really grasped the concept of how bad it was in our lives once said to me something that will always stick in my mind. They said, yeah, you went through a lot of bad stuff, but look at the man you became. Look how it shaped you. And I said to them, are you kidding me? You think I wanted to go through all that to get to this? Why not president then? I should be like in charge of the world. I'm owed something if that's the damn case. But yeah, I am a good husband. I am a good father. I try to be good to everybody I know. I work hard. Some bitch, they don't just hand these out to anybody.
I don't have one yet.
Maybe in 100 years I'll have one of those.
I want to, each and every day to touch somebody in a way that helps them, maybe just a little bit, if it's just one person. No matter if I've got 50 people tell me I suck, if there's one person that says, you know what, I look forward to this. This is something I enjoy. Nothing else matters. Nothing else matters.
I will say again, you, Creed, the entire community on your channels and that have been the biggest blessing of my life. All the crap that I've gone through, losing job, health problems, losing Sassy, all of you kept me from chewing on the barrels of one of my guns. I tell you, there's no way I could ever repay all of you for what you have given me. Giving me a sense of community, a sense of family. You're all my brothers and sisters.
I appreciate it. Really do.
And Mikey,
really
it is true. What to swing back to what you just said, whenever I do go out in public, I try to put a smile on somebody's face.
Yep.
Because I worked retail for a long time. I know how shitty that is. And there's always somebody trying to kick you and punch you down and knock you down. If I can make one retail worker smile, then I've accomplished a goal.
Yep, exactly. If I can put a smile on one person's face a day, the day has not been wasted.
Correct. Absolutely.
Well, it makes me feel good because, I don't get to see everybody watching. I don't see your faces. I don't hear how you feel, except through your words on the screen or in opportunities like this that I get to see you guys. It means a lot. It means more than you guys will ever know that you were able to believe in what I was doing enough to want to be a part of it. And that is something I can never thank you guys, because you were accepted what my vision is and I'm not even close to being done yet. So
Yeah.
I appreciate that, guys. I really, really do. And it means a lot to have y'all there to support me every day.
Yeah. You put in so much work, so many hours, way more than
Yeah.
a normal person would ever have
Yeah.
to do for a real job to entertain us, to make
I got
us
4 hours
feel
of sleep
good.
yesterday. So I got done working at 4 o'clock, went to sleep for 4 hours, got back up when court started again, just because in this world that I'm in, I'm, having to get videos for several channels now. There's, 3 monetized channels. I'm trying to make sure I got stuff going on over on everything to try and make sure they're successful, because right now it's really rough in YouTube world. It is really tough, and we're down this month. Last year did 4 million views. This month we're going to do 1 million. It is what it is. The world's changing. AI is taking over and messing everything up, but that's all right. We're going to get through this, and on the other side of it, we'll be even better than the years before. So,
Well, just remember, Mikey, you improvise, you overcome, and you adapt.
Yep.
yeah.
That kind of reminds me in 2019, we had 7 bikers that were killed in an accident up in the White Mountains here in New Hampshire. I put together a memorial ride. It started off just me, and then I ended up building a little team of 10 people. We put together a ride in 10 days. And these people that were all killed were Marines at the Jarhead Motorcycle Club, which has become another family of mine. And the president of the Jarhead said, "How did you do this?" I said, I might have been in the Air Force, but my father was a Marine. He told me to adapt, overcome, go in head first, headstrong to achieve the goal that you are trying to achieve. We put together a ride that originally was only going to be like 50 or 100 bikes to a ride that was 3,700 bikes, somewhere between 4,000 and 5,000 people in 10 days. We had the entire state of New Hampshire's, the governor's office, the state patrol, everything.
Wow.
All worked together with us in 10 days to put on the largest ever memorial ride in the country in 10 days.
That's awesome.
That is amazing.
And just like YouTube, you have to go in head first, headstrong to achieve what you want. You have to adapt. You have to figure out the niches, the little niches to bring the people in there to keep the views there, keep the people there, bring them what they want, and at the same time have fun. You put in a huge amount of work to make Creed look good.
Now, if I just get him to give me some of that gambling money, I'll be set.
For sure.
I won't work as hard. I can promise you that. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much, Mayor, for having me on. John, good to see you as always, buddy.
Take care, man. I enjoy talking with you.
Y'all can take care.
I can't thank you enough for this. I love you, man. And anytime, you're always invited here if you want to come in and just kick my ass for being an idiot.
Well, everybody heard him. All right. You guys stay safe. I'll see you.
Take care, Mikey.
Hey, if there's anybody else out there that wants to come and speak or tell your story or anything, I'm gonna post the link one more time here.
Okay, yeah, because I got a Diddy Bob. I'm supposed to be on Carla's channel, and I still got something else to do beforehand.
Alrighty. I'm gonna be left here alone unless somebody else comes on. Oh,
Mayor, thank you for having me.
Mikey leaves and my viewers are dropping. Wow, we know who they like.
Well, yeah, but it's all right. I mean, yeah. Mikey's still the man.
He is. He is an awesome guy. And
yeah, and
when I go on my
if you don't mind me plug in his We Got a Case channel real quick. He did a premiere today, and I asked him about doing more of those because it brings people into the chat, which increases his viewing hours on that channel. And he said he's going to start doing 2 of those a week over on the Case channel. So everybody go to the We Got a Case. If you haven't, subscribe and then turn on notifications. You can join us in the live chat while we watch stupid people getting their ass handed to them in court.
That sounds like a winning proposition right there. I always like watching people, especially sovereign citizens, getting shot down so bad.
Yeah, that's always fun. But all right, Mayor, I'm gonna go ahead and get like I said, Carla's she's gonna start soon, and I'll be on there.
I'll pop over to her channel after I get out of here,
and then I'll be on after her. I scheduled it for 9:45, but who knows? It might start a little bit later depending on what she does.
Yes, everybody, you ought to go to John's channel. It's a lot of fun. He talks a lot, but it's still a lot of fun.
Yeah, with this gravelly voice. But yeah, we do have a lot of fun over there. So everybody's welcome, by the way. Everybody's welcome. So, Mayor, take care of yourself, buddy. It's good to see you again tonight. I appreciate you having me.
I appreciate you coming on.
Love you,
man. Thank you, my brother. Is there anybody else that might want to pop on? Let's see. I wonder if I can pull up John's link here. Yeah, see, I haven't got anything set up on my computer for other people's channels and all that yet. I'm still working on all that, so I can't pull up his channel quite yet. I have hard enough time finding my own channel on here, but oh, hey Billy, you rock. Yeah, definitely go and rewatch. Doesn't look like there's anybody else that wants to pop on. If you do, raise your hand real quick. And if not, we'll call it quits and yeah, head over to Carla's channel. Go have a little fun over there and John's channel after that. Since I'm not working, I got all the time in the world to do nothing. John Lynn, that's right, John Lynn. I was thinking it was under his Ziggy or his Iggy. Ah, here it is. There. La 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 la. What the heck? Oh, post. Well, what the heck? Oh, here we go. See if this works. This should be John's channel. So go over there. I don't have Carla's on here, but I guess what I'm gonna do. Nobody else seems to want to pop on or talk. A lot of chatting in the chat, which I like. Everybody's talked. So I am gonna call it quits for the night. And I want to thank every one of you for coming in and listen to us ramble and talk. And remember, if anybody out there, if you are yourself or you know somebody that needs help, down at the bottom of the chat of the screen there is scrolling link for the National Abuse hotline. Get it to them. Get them help. If anything, just listen to somebody. Sometimes just lending an ear and a shoulder can help a lot. So I want to thank you all. I love every one of you. And we will do this again. We should be on for our normal stuff on Saturday night at 7:30 or 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I have no idea what the subject is. I think it's going to be ghosts. So I shall see you there. All right. All right. Thanks. Have a good night.